Hey, what's up? I have thoughts on, I guess it was just yesterday's, the hands off protest, the nationwide protest against Trump and Elon and basically the country right now. First, I guess I'm sorry I couldn't participate. As I posted other places on social media, I like to walk my talk, and I would have done there. And the next ones, I will be there if I can. But I had the rare opportunity to play in a big band at a paid gig, jazz, my first one ever. And I am unemployed, so I definitely needed to do that for a lot of reasons, and there was no way I could do both. So I'm just kind of sad. I have friends who are very involved and in leadership and everybody everywhere, and it really worked out. And it matters, and it kind of sucks that I wasn't a part of it. But I have three real points that I want to make about yesterday's protest from the point of view of a black man and black America and that sort of thing. The first one, before I say that point, it was immediately noticeable to me, and it seemed like everybody, that this protest was super white. Like, I've never seen in this country millions of just white people. And whether you call it a melting pot or a salad, one of my friends brought it up again, but that's not new. People have been saying that forever. But whatever it is so weird or eye catching whenever I see millions or thousands or tens of thousands of people and it's like all white, a sea of white. So that's interesting. And now, with that in mind, I'll get to my 3 points. First, it was nice, I think, for a lot of black people commented on this, that we aren't bearing this burden. Most of everything that happens good in this country since before the beginning of this country is black people, whether you know it or not. Like, all of the things that you do and say, all the protests, all the culture, all of the little creative sayings, the fast, the way we protest, all of that is black people. And so a lot of black people were like, white people need to do their part. And they were glad to sit back and not participate because the awful things that Trump is doing affects all of us, and it's time for y'all to get out there and do something. So a lot of black people felt like, yeah, I'm not doing this, and yeah, it is your turn. And so a lot of people felt that that was nice, that white people did turn out in numbers to protest what is a country I don't recognize, and I'm shocked. As a person with a law degree, and a lot of people don't realize that all we do is study the Constitution. That's the whole point of going to law school, and that's how you get to be a judge. We know the law and the Constitution better than anybody. That's all you study for 3 years. And basically, what you learn in law school is that everything that Trump is doing is impossible and nobody would ever do it. And everything that we've put in place is to ensure that that can never happen. But all of y'all are like, yeah, but I hate trans people, so whatever. So that's the first point. The second point, everybody is talking about how peaceful it was and kind of making a point that when MAGA didn't get their way, immediately they stormed the Capitol. People died. They beat police officers. They broke tons of laws. They went to prison. And then the other side of the coin, liberals had a planned protest. It took months to organize. It was organized well. It was nationwide. It was very peaceful. It was a lot of signs and chanting. It was legal, etc., etc. Everybody's saying that, but somebody brought up a good point, some black person I follow, and I agree. Part of the reason it was such a peaceful protest is because there were no black people and few black and brown people involved. I know there were some, but not a lot. I've seen tons of videos and pictures, and it's a sea of white. Not because black and brown people are more violent or awful or prone to do violent things or anything like that, but because if there is an organized black protest, as we saw with George Floyd and things around that time, police show up in riot gear. They show up in riot gear. And that is always an agitation. When you come to sing songs and protest peacefully and people show up with military grade gear in riot gear and they're mean to you and they're cold to you, you've started something. And that didn't happen yesterday. And it didn't happen yesterday because my face wasn't there. And that should tell you a lot about this country. And that's just something to think long and hard about because they can always show up peacefully. I read many stories of cops helping protesters and being very sweet and kind and understanding and being on their side. Now, in part, you could say because they realize that this country is in a real bad place and they're on their side. But this country's always been in that place. Trump's just the worst. Dang, Trump is the worst. I mean, he's been ranked and voted the worst president ever multiple times. The only person worse than him at everything is him. It definitely would have been different had there been a bunch of black people showing up with posters and chants and bullhorns. And so it's just something to think about and remember as you're patting yourself on the back and very excited about whatever happened. The last point I want to make, which ties into all of this, is that it is odd still. I understand and appreciate what happened, how it happened, and black people's role or lack of role in the protest. It is hard for me to see anything in this country be like almost all white. That is always difficult for me. I've mentioned it before here. I live in Baltimore, Maryland, which is, according to what numbers you get, like 66% black. And every time I go someplace that is really awesome and good things are happening, it is white run and all white people. It's not because black people can't do those things. It's because, of course, we don't get the funding, we don't get the respect, we're always suspected. I know it from my own life, right? I'm as good as it gets at whatever. Nice, kind, smart, intelligent, educated, sincere, whatever. I'm just as good as it gets, and I walk into a place and I'm immediately a suspect. I see how people look at me, I see how they address me, I see how they treat me versus how they treat white people. But the point I was getting at is it is hard for me to see really good things in this country be all white. And in part, I know that this country, especially, probably this entire country, but definitely white people in this country, and the world, when you think American, you actually think white American. And that's not all of America. It's not even the most important parts of America. And even in my life, living in cities for most of my life, that's not what America is to me. That's not what our media is. That's not what our art is. That's not what our sports are. We're not a white country. The diversity is what defines us, even though Trump and his cronies are trying to take that away for obvious reasons. But it just hurts whenever I see something that is an amazing American moment and it's all white. And I get that a lot of black people purposely sat this out. I understand that. Maybe I'll encourage us not to sit out the next one. And maybe I'm encouraging white people in those leadership roles to ask as many black people as you can to be involved, I guess, and brown people, any people that aren't white people. And I'm not saying you didn't. Somebody asked me, and I would have, but I had to gig. And not just like, hey, come to the protest, but put us in leadership roles. Because you have a committee meeting, a board meeting, whatever it is, however you put this all together, hands off, and various foundations that work together, .orgs and whatnot. Come to black people, brown people, Asians, whatever, and give them roles as chairs and media and whatever it is, because it's not really American if it doesn't include all of us. And I think that's really important. And I'm out.